Okay, let's see if we can get this hair in the line. I don't even know. Get stuff like sticking out everywhere. What do you say? And look, I don't have to pull it out of my head because, you know, I bought this in the hairspray aisle because I have common sense. SMDH. Hey, yeah, welcome back. If you don't know me, I'm TK, and this channel is all about doing some makeup, doing a little food, and having a lot of fun. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then go ahead and do all the YouTube-y things and hitting the subscribe button and leaving a like in the video. Let's get on with today's Makeup and Music Monday. So I've always come up with a theme for these. All the songs are sort of related in some way or another. And this week, we are going to talk about songs that the minute you hear them, you have to get up and dance. They are dance songs. Like, you cannot sit still whenever you hear them. Your ass must get out of the chair. The palette that we're going to use this week is the BH Los Angeles palette. I love this already. Haven't touched it though. How gorgeous is that, right? All those beautiful colors. The thing is, there's not a lot of dark colors that aren't shimmers. So I'm not sure how that's going to work because I usually like to do a pretty good contrast between my outer eye and my inner eye to give that lift because I'm old. And so I think I may end up adding in Juvia's Place the Berries palette. We've got that out of the way. We can talk about the music. These are going to be songs that, like, the minute you hear them, like if you're sitting in the club, the minute you hear them, it's like, put your drink down, get to the dance floor, okay? But each one of these songs is actually historically significant, and we're going to talk about that too. So if that sounds like something fun to you or something you'd be interested in, then stick around. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh, they don't know me like they think they know me.
There we go. I am now the beast that becomes the beauty. Maybe. I don't know. But speaking of beast, the first song that we're going to talk about is one that y'all know you have danced to, you have wanted to dance to, you have tried to dance to, and everybody has tried to do the dances within the music video. I'm going to just start it up right now, and we're probably not going to play the whole way through it, but I'm going to start it up right now, and I know damn well y'all going to be like, oh, I got to get out of my seat right now. And here we go. You cannot tell me that you did not immediately want to get up out of your seat and dance. If you were still sitting there like, oh, this is boring, just leave the chat. Thriller is one of the greatest songs that was ever recorded by Michael Jackson, really by anyone. It was an amazing piece that has a tremendous story behind it. Production story behind it, and we're going to talk about that. It is iconic in its very existence. We're going to get into it, but let me just play a little bit more of this tune.
It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. Under the moonlight, you see a sight that almost stops your heart. You try to scream, but dare I take the sound before you make it. And you start to freeze.
quiet. And no one's going to save you from the beast about to strike. And I'll tell you what, he might have been talking to the entire music community at that time, and definitely the music video community on MTV at the time. So when Michael Jackson decided to do Thriller as a video, because back in the 80s you couldn't do a song without doing a music video. That was sort of your life's blood. The video sold the album. That was the way that went. People saw the video on MTV, and then they went and bought the album. So after he finished writing Thriller, he wanted to do a video, and he tapped John Landis. So if you don't know who John Landis is, you might know him as a director of a lot of great 80s movies, like Animal House, Blues Brothers. He did American Werewolf in London. He did Trading Places. He did Coming to America, among many, many others. So he was quite a prolific and very popular and quite the award-winning director at the time. So when Michael Jackson wanted to tap a director to do Thriller, he went to John Landis, and he said, I have roughly a $500,000 budget. John Landis agreed to direct the video. And here's the crazy thing about it. It was a music video, but it was really like a mini movie. When they were finished producing it, it was debuted in a theater in Los Angeles to a very special audience. Eddie Murphy was in the audience, a few others. Michael Jackson was there, and normally would sit down in the audience with everybody, but he didn't. He stayed up in the projection booth, and because he wanted to see like the reaction he didn't want to kind of, taint the whole thing by sort of being there. Holy crap, this is pigmented. I think I just screwed up this eye look. Anyways, and at the end of the showing, they did a standing ovation, and Eddie Murphy insisted that they show it again. If you didn't know Eddie Murphy, of course, he's a huge, huge Michael Jackson fan. They wanted the song to be eligible for Academy Award and for other movie awards. But in order to fulfill the requirements for that, it had to be released in theaters. And Fantasia was in theaters at that point in time. So they put it on the front end of Fantasia, and that's how it got a theatrical release. So it was significant in that it was a music video, but it was the first music video to ever do that kind of thing. It released on MTV on December 2nd as a companion piece to the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller, which was another whole movie about obviously making the video. MTV put this into a rotation. They put the playing of the video and the making of the video into a rotation. And every time they announced when they were going to play it again, they would see their numbers of viewership absolutely double to see this. So it was kind of a big deal. And it was a big deal for them too. I mean, it was a big deal for MTV. They'd never had any video be that successful, and they never had any video be quite that involved. This was basically a full-on movie. All this activity on MTV served to double the album sales for Michael Jackson's Thriller album, thereby making it the best-selling album of all time. It won a Grammy in 1985 for Best Video Album, and it won an MTV Music Award in 1984. I think it won 3 of them. And then it also won in 1989 an MTV Award for one of the 100 greatest videos of all time, which makes sense, obviously. Why is it historically significant? That's the question, right? It is historically significant because after that, the videos on MTV began to get more sophisticated. A video was no longer just, we put out a single and let's just throw a video together for it. Live videos, I think, were the bane of MTV's existence. So after Thriller, it was no longer acceptable to just be like, let's just throw a video together of us playing this on stage somewhere, and then that'll be fine for MTV and boost our album sales and this and that. No, You had to have production value. You had to have a story. You had to have a concept. There was a pre-Thriller and a post-Thriller production value to videos. So literally you had this 2-year-old network that was still a bit fledgling, and then Thriller hits. And everything changes now. Everything that MTV thought it was became elevated with Michael Jackson's Thriller. And then Michael Jackson's even subsequent videos were amazingly, high production value. How did the video do itself? So we know what it did for the album. It doubled the album sales, making it the best-selling album of all time. But the video itself, how did it do? We know that it got a theatrical release. So when Michael Jackson went to John Landis and was like, hey, I want you to do this video. I have a $500,000 budget. He was like, okay, cool. I'll do the video. The video itself did $900,000. So nearly doubled its budget. Thriller is crazy. Thriller will make you want to do this dance. If you never try to do this dance to Thriller, you haven't heard the song. Roll it. If you've been to a party where nobody ever tried to do that, if Thriller came on, don't go back. Don't ever go back. Like, that is not your friend. And Thriller was amazing. And Thriller changed everything for us. And it was funny because we kind of knew at the time, oh, this is different. This is groundbreaking. This is going to change everything. And that was just a cool time. It was a cool time for us to be, alive. All right, so that is Thriller. The next time we're going to talk about, this is a song that probably a lot more of you know. And to be fair, I really didn't know who this artist, I didn't know anything about who this artist was. Seriously. My kids introduced me to this artist. But if you hear this, you have to drop your drink and get your ass to the floor.
Peace up, A-Town down. Yeah. Okay. Usher.
Right? That song makes me want to try to bend over and touch my toes. And trust me, at my age, this shit ain't working. That song is what they might refer to today as a bop. It is incredible. It's Yeah by Usher. We're going to play a little bit more. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it.
In the club with my homies, trying to get a little VI, keep it down on the low key. You should know how it feels. I saw the shorty, she was checking up on me. From the game, she was spitting in my ear. You would think that she knew me. Decided to cheat. Conversation got heavy. She had me feeling like she's ready to blow. Watch out! She's saying, come get me. So I got up and followed her to the floor. She said, baby, let's go. When I told her, I said, Shorty got down, she said, come and get me. I got so caught up, I got you told me. Her and my girl, you could be the best of all me. Next thing I knew, she was all up on me screaming.
You can't not dance to that song. You can't. You have to get up and you have to go dance. That is it. End of discussion. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So, remember I said everything had a historical significance, and you're like, yeah, but I remember Usher, but like historical significance. This came off his 4th studio album. Like, why is significant? I'm gonna tell you. So, the thing of it is, when Usher had finished recording the tracks for his 4th album, was not among them. His producer was somebody you would know from the 80s and 90s, Babyface. And he was like, hey, so Usher submitted the song and he was like, hey, but we don't, submitted the album tracks, and Babyface was like, we don't have a lead single here. And she was like, yeah, but we're going to do Burn for the lead single. And Babyface was like, I don't really want to do that. He said, we really need like a real dance track out there. So Babyface contacted Lil Jon to come and help write this lead single, this dance track that he wanted. Here's a funny story, and you're gonna, if you know the people that I'm talking about, if you know who this is, then you're gonna find this funny. If you don't know who this is, you might find this a little bit boring. But trust me, I'm gonna get through it fast. I'm gonna break it down very crudely. So Lil Jon was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come help you do this. Okay?" And he had already given a track to Petey Pablo, Freak a Leak. And you know that sounds like this. And so he went to Petey Pablo. Now all this had kind of taken place in very, very, very short amount of time. He went to Petey Pablo and he was like, hey, I kind of want to use that track that I gave you for something else. I'll give you another track. But Petey Pablo was like, because I've already released this and it's getting a lot of play and I'm getting a lot of attention with it. And people are liking it and clubs are liking it. And he's like, but I kind of really want to use that track. I got to do this really fast, but I can give you something else. He was like, nah, we're not going to do that. And ultimately his record, his label did not go with it. And Lil Jon had to come up with something else. But in an alternate universe, this is the backup track for Yeah. True story. But after that little snafu, Lil Jon came up with the production track that became Yeah. Cool thing about Yeah, and actually to me, the cool thing about Usher overall is that he combined crunk and R&B genres both in this song. And while that might not necessarily have been significant overall within the genres or within hip-hop in and of itself at the time, what was significant was that this song was a mainstream artist, a mainstream pop artist. And now the song eventually went to number 1. It became the lead single for this album. And it got so popular that that combination of crunk and R&B was now introduced into mainstream, into pop, into rock music. And it became a really popular sound. And it started getting incorporated into more and more music, into R&B, into rap, into pop, into rock. So that is why this song is significant historically, because it expanded the landscape for a lot of what we thought were kind of very clearly delineated genres that actually weren't quite as robust as they are now after this song coming out. So the critics even said that, I'm reading this to make sure that I get it right, between Lil Jon's driving beat and Ludacris's racy lyrics, it was a raucous tale of dance floor seduction. That is a very big contribution to music overall. Anytime something comes along that is revolutionary or that merges more than one genre of music and affects more than one genre of music and brings us together and crosses over in such a way that it doesn't create division but creates unity, like that's an absolute groundbreaking song. So, but the theme of this is dance. And none of y'all are gonna sit there and tell me that when you hear this, that you don't get out on the dance floor. You get up, you dance, you at least in your seat this way, right? At least, okay? So, if you're going to sit there and tell me, I don't know, I don't move to that. What is wrong? Get your ears clean, something. I don't know. I don't even know what would be wrong with you if you could sit there and say that. By the way, it stayed on the Billboard Top 100 at number 1 for 12 weeks. Let that sink in. That is an entire quarter of a year. That's a long time to stay at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Now we're going to talk about the third song. I don't know how many of you are actually going to know this, like straight out. It has made a lot of people move. It makes a lot of people dance. And my 80s ass, the minute I would hear this, my drink, I don't even care about my drink no more. That dance floor, that's all I can see right now. And I got to get there. Let's listen to it. Run it. Cannot tell me. Do you hear that? Do you hear that driving beat? It gets under your shoes. What happens is it gets under your shoes and then makes you go down to the dance floor. It's like, no, you can't sit here and drink while this is on. You can't sit in any chair at all while this is playing. You have got to get up and get down there and dance. Song made Prince do this. And can we just talk about how he did that in like high heels, high heel boots, all that? It even made this guy do this. Song is going to make you do all that. That is a danceable song. That is a song you must respond to. You cannot just sit in your chair and drink or whatever. You can't just sit in your chair and be like, let me set this one out. No, you got to get up. You got to go do. And if you're ahead of me, you already know that this song only hit number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, which is kind of how you measure the success of a song. But it came from Purple Rain. That is key here. It's the song itself may not necessarily be the biggest hit from Purple Rain, and it wasn't. When Doves Cry was. But the movie Purple Rain was very, very significant in the scope of pop culture at the time that it came out. So not only a significant movie when it came out, but a significant movie 35 years later. Am I that old? Oh my God, I'm old. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have even said that. But whatever, it is. Basically, the way that the success of a movie is measured is how much of its budget did it make back. In this case, the movie Purple Rain had a $7.2 million budget. It grossed $72 million worldwide. That is huge. That is a blockbuster. Okay. It won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. The movie's really good. I mean, at the core of it, it's a success story. It's also a love story, and it shows a lot of real things that people who were in Prince's situation would go through. Now, I don't know whether the story is meant to be biographical in any way, so, but there are some very real, like, themes, family themes, urban themes, that go through that movie, that are significant, and it was significant for people to see it at the time. So that's why in 2019 it was added to the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry for, let me get this straight, for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. It's one of those movies that's like, well, if we couldn't preserve the people here on Earth, but we wanted to preserve some part of the film culture for whoever ends up evolving or settling here later. If we had the vault and we were going to put the most significant movies in it, what would those movies be? And Congress said in 2019, Purple Rain. The movie was just really profound, and it hit me when I saw it. It really hit me, and it's not like, I don't look at the movie and go, oh yeah, that's something that I went through. I did not at all. I personally went to see that movie 6 times in the theater. So I feel like I contributed significantly to that $72 million. Here was the weird thing. I didn't go by myself. My girlfriend Nancy, she went with me all 6 times as well. The movie was just amazing, and it just resonated. It hit home. The dancing was amazing. The music was amazing. Prince was amazing. Once again, just like Michael Jackson, it was something that we discovered off the main path, off the beaten path, and we were like, holy crap, we've never seen this before. We'd never heard that type of music before. So that is I Would Die For You. And the significance being not so much the song itself, but more the movie that it came from. Okay. These are all songs that you have to, when you hear them, you're going to have to get up and dance. That's just the way it is. They are all incredibly danceable tunes. And the 3 that we talked about today are historic, not only danceable, that you have to like, hey, you got to get up and dance, but they're also historically significant. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do contour, blush, foundation, and we're going to finish this look. I'm going to come back and wrap up. I'm going to recap a little bit. Dance tunes that you just have to move to as soon as you hear them. Okay. The 3 main ones that we talked about tonight were, number 1, Thriller by Michael Jackson. Not only is it an incredible dance tune, it's launched a ton of dance challenges with the zombie dance. And the corresponding music video actually got a theatrical release on the front end of Fantasia, and was directed by John Landis, who was very famous for lots and lots of 80s movies like Animal House, Blues Brothers, Trading Places, and Coming to America. He also did Beverly Hills Cop 3. I don't know if I want to brag about that one, though. I don't know. I didn't care for that one. Some people do. So, John Landis was the director of the Thriller video, which had a $500,000 budget, made $900,000 in a theatrical release, and literally changed the face of MTV. Basically up the bar for every other performer, every other musician that was just sort of using MTV as just a little advertising boost for their video. They knew after Thriller came out, they were going to have to come correct. The second one we talked about was Yeah by Usher. And that one, I think as soon as you hear it, like the very first, like you hear A-Town and you're like, forget it. You can already hear the music in your ear. That music coming by way of Lil Jon. And yeah, having the significance of introducing crunk to a much wider audience, and thereby having those sounds being incorporated into pop music, R&B music, and rap music. Changed the landscape of pop music as we knew it at the time. Well received by critics, and was the lead single for his Confessions album. Finally, we talked about I Would Die For You from Prince, which is definitely a dance tune. And as soon as you hear it, you want to get up and hit the dance floor. It's in and of itself, it was not a huge commercial success. It only reached number 8 on the Billboard Top 100, but the movie that it came from was a huge blockbuster success on a budget of $7.2 million, made back $72 million worldwide. Purple Rain became such a significant part of our culture. It was added to the Library of Congress for preservation on the National Film Registry for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Music and Makeup Mondays. I hope that you felt like dancing. Dancing is good for us. And if you have any songs that just are like, oh, my ass gets up when this thing plays, go ahead, put them in the comments, because I'm sure we're going to do like a part 2, part 3, I don't know how many parts for this one. There's lots and lots of music out there that certainly the minute you hear it, you just have to get up and move. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, and a great night. And I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're taking care of each other. And make sure that you stop by Wednesday. We're going to look at the comparison between BH Los Angeles and Glam Light ice cream truck. So, is this a dupe? I don't know. I'm going to find out. So check me out on Wednesday for that. Until then, bye y'all.
Louboutin dripping, fucking bleeding out my sneaks. Throw my crown at your face in case you forgot I was king. I hope it leaves a mark if you forget where you're destined to be. Higher than wings, flying outside of desert Syria.